Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internal.
I still get them when I can find them, guys. Oh, yeah. Man, some good stuff. Okay, so, man, I know y'all have, like, experienced this in your life. You're scrolling the old face page, come across the car audio group, you just see a picture of an amplifier from the end with all the knobs on it. And somebody's like, where do I set these to? Yeah, I see that a lot. I've actually had people message me before and ask where I set my amps to. I guess they're trying to replicate where I have mine set at and their vehicle. And first of all, it don't work that way. If you're new to audio and you're watching this, it does not work that way. You and your buddy can have the same exact amp, and your settings are going to be different than his. That's just the nature of it. That's how it works. I mean, y'all can have, both of y'all can have, say, 2 Sundown SA12s and a Sundown Salt 4 in your vehicle, and your amp settings are going to be different. You know, there's factors that come in, the type of battery that you're running, the voltage that you're running, the tuning, the type of music you listen to, the cabin frequency of the vehicle. All of these are going to play a big factor into where you set everything on the amplifier. You know, we'll start with the basics here. The old subsonic filter. Now, if you run tar amps or a lot of full bridges, full bridge, full range amplifiers like the Tar Amps MD or the Smart non-bass, you will have a high pass. In that situation, if you're using it for subwoofers, the high pass is going to act as your subsonic. Now, most subsonics only go down to 10 hertz. Me, I turn that bitch all the way down. I wish I could turn it all the way off, but it only goes down to 10 hertz. So let's say you're tuned around 35 hertz. Then you're probably going to want to bump that thing up to around 25, 28, you know, somewhere in that ballpark. It's been my experience, if you tune around like 31 to 32 hertz, you can still play 25. And the experiences, like in my wife's daily driver, it'll play 25 just fine, and it's tuned around 32. So, but that's going to be your low frequency cutoff. Like, you don't want to play under that number. That's what the subsonic is for. So it'll block out everything that's potentially going to damage your stuff. So see, that right there, you can't just look at somebody else's settings and be like, I'm going to set here because where are you tuned, guy? You know, that's a biggie. Where are you tuned to? Now, you know, everybody kind of knows what low pass is. Low pass is where you want your cutoff for everything over that frequency you don't want to play. So, you know, if you're tuned at 30 hertz, crank that bad boy up to like, you know, 50 max. Or if you're tuned at 20 hertz and you just got a regular old ported enclosure or a flat wall that doesn't play as wide a range as a bandpass, you need to set it accordingly. Even with me having a 6th order that played a pretty good range, you know, I normally set that thing around 60 hertz. I don't really want to play anything over 50 anyway, but 60 hertz just seemed like a good number. But me personally, I just turned it all the way up on my amplifiers. I used the low pass filter in my head unit. That way I wasn't even sending the signal back to the amplifiers. This is another variable to throw in, because what are your head unit settings? Or are you running a stock head unit and you have to rely on the amplifier? Or do you have a DSP and line that you're running subwoofer through. These are all variables. So we've covered the low pass, the subsonic. We'll get into bass boost. Most time you're going to turn that all the way off. But if you just have kind of a small system, stock head unit, you're tuned kind of high, bass boost might help you a little bit. You know, if you're not listening to rebass music and you're listening to like, you know, 80s and 90s stuff, bass boost could help you. In most situations, bass boost don't help a whole lot unless you're running a smaller system and you listen to older music. But bass boost usually boosts up that 40 hertz a little bit. And, you know, as Kicker said, anything under 40 hertz is a waste of information. Yeah, that's still coming back to haunt them. God, what do I got in my beard there? Ah, it's a piece of fuzz. It should have came out in the shower, guys. We'll say that for later. But bass boost, I don't recommend running it, especially if you have a decent sized system. You're trying to get loud, you're trying to play lower frequency. I recommend turning it all the way off. Now that brings us to the old gain. The gain will be the last on the list because that's, you know, most amps have subsonic, low pass, bass boost, and then the old gain. The gain knob, it's not a volume knob, and we all love it when we hear the guy say, my gain's only halfway up. Mine ain't even there, bud. You know, the gain knob, all it is there for is to match the signal that is coming out of the head unit or signal source like DSP or whatever. Now, your gain can fluctuate a lot because if you have a 4 or 5 volt output head unit and you got your subwoofer level like, you know, at -5, then you're going to have to give the old gain, you know, some extra turns up. But if you got your subwoofer level on like +10, you might just barely bump it up, and any more than that's going to be clipping. So there's a couple of different ways to set your gain. Oscilloscope, O-scope. You know, a lot of people love the old Lumi off Amazon. That thing's kind of tried and true. Or the old DD1 or DD1 Plus from Steve Mead. Or even better, if you have a newer amplifier with a clip light in it, that just makes life really, really golden right there. I will personally say every amplifier that I've had with a clip light in it, I use it to set the gain. My mids and highs amps even have clip lights in them. But in my experience, you know, like I have a Lumi, I have a DD1. I can hook all of them up and bump my gain up, and usually the clip light on the amplifier will flash right before the O-scope detects anything or the DD1. That was my experience for tar amps anyway. They did great. My DS18 Hooligan KO amplifiers, they have the old clip light in them. I use it. Me personally, you know, I have a number on my head unit that I do not go past. Actually, I very seldom ever go to that number. I believe my head unit goes to volume 35. I use volume 32. I've checked it with the DD1. I know that number is clean. Actually, all the way up to 34 is like clean, but I like 32. I demo at volume 28, but I set my gains on my amplifiers at volume 32, 40 hertz, bass knob all the way open. I leave subwoofer flat on the head unit. You know, it goes from like -10 to +10. I leave it right there at the old 0. And I use the clip light on the amplifier. Now, there's 2 ways to use that clip light, or the DD1, or an O-scope. You can turn it up to right where you get clipping and then back it just a hair off till the clip light goes off. You can set it there. If you have multiple amplifiers, you'll have your multimeter hooked to them speaker outputs on AC voltage. And you're going to read that number, and you're going to try to get all of your other subwoofer amplifiers to that same AC voltage output number that was on your multimeter on this amp. And you're going to hope that all the amps are just as strong as that one, because if not, you got to take the one with the lowest voltage and set all the other ones to that. But I set there. Before clip. A lot of guys, to get that extra oomph out of their system, and maybe, you know, that extra half dB or dB, they will go ahead and turn that gain to the clip light just comes on and leave it there, because that's a little extra power. So that is how you do the gain knob, and this is what your settings are for on your amplifier. Now, with that being said, you should never post a picture of your amplifier in a group and ask people what it means. One, the people in these groups are dicks and they're going to drag you for it. And two, nobody can answer your question. Nobody. Literally, those settings pertain to in your vehicle. In your vehicle. You know, let's say that old subsonic filter. Me, I leave that thing turned down as low as it'll go. But I will play lows, or my last system played lows. Let's pray my new one does. But I kept it turned all the way down. Now, let's just take a scenario to where, you know, me, Wald, 6th order, play lows. You have an enclosure in your car, and it's just like a 215 ported box. And you bought it from Joe up the street, and that thing, you know, Joe's a tweaker. We all know the Joe I'm talking about. Joe a tweaker, and that thing's tuned to 35 hertz. You know, you come over, you look at my amp settings, and you turn your subsonic all the way down, and then you're going to throw in some old Rusticals, Saw a Gangster Cry, 14 hertz, and you're going to blow your crap up, because your sub's going to be bottom, and they're going to be like, boom, boom, that coil beating on that back plate. And you're going to be mad. And you're going to be like, but I said it like yours. Because the tuning's different, guy. I'm tuned to play that low. You're not. This is why you can't do it, you know. You need to set everything for what you have, and it's going to sound and perform way better than trying to set your stuff like somebody else. New guys, I hope this helped you out, you know, understand what the old subsonic for, or as I said, if you're running a tar amps full range, what the high pass is for. Because when you're playing bass, you know, through the old tar amps full range, that high becomes your subsonic. But you know, it's all the amp settings are dependent on your enclosure tuning. And as I said earlier, your cabin gain or your cabin frequency, because every vehicle is going to be different. This Jeep is a slightly different body style with a different shaped dash and door panels and everything than my blue Jeep. And the cabin frequency in here is going to be different because of that. So I could have the same wall in here, but it's going to have different peaks and everything. So a lot of this stuff, you kind of need to just do a base setting. I mean, it's not going to be hard to figure out where to set your subsonic based on your tuning. But other factors could come into play as far as like what you're tuned to back there versus how high it's going to play up here. Because the old front cabin is going to add or subtract from your tuning a couple frequencies, you know, and it's going to change things up. But it's like my blue Jeep, that thing loved peaking around 39 hertz. And when I put the prides in and did that round over on the front port, that took my peak down to 33. Now I had a high peak in it too, but don't get me wrong, because it had a high peak. 6th order, you know, rear chamber versus front chamber tuning. But still, things change. With no round over, my peak was 39. Add a round over, my peak was 33. And any change you make up there, it could affect your peak. But this is amplifier settings, like, you know, rounded up and explained better. I don't know, I'm just trying to find more technical things to do videos on, because I'm trying to stay the hell away from the blue Jeep, because I'm mad at it. All right, guys, hope y'all have a great day. there's something noisy as hell coming. Peace out, guys, and as always, bass on.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.